Welcome back to the Off Script podcast. Me and Jermaine have been away for a little bit on our little hiatus of busy weekends at shows, at expos and stuff. But this is episode 58, and the PCA British has just been this past weekend, and we're joined by the one and only Tom, the Swiss Army Knife. Hames, how we doing? He goes by many names.
Many
There
names.
you go. Tom goes by many names, Hames.
Oh, there we go.
Fucking stupid.
That one's just the worst.
While we're ahead, please.
I've had shit before where like clients have been like, "Oh, you're a wizard with this. You've got me in this shape," and I'm like, "Everyone's called the fucking wizard. Don't call me the wizard." Nathan Harmon used to call himself the wizard, and I was like, can't really have that.
For listeners who want context, just before we start recording, we were discussing names that go along with coaches like the Real Technician or You Lost the Mind, Sasha, stuff like that. So
still the best one, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. If you guys can come up with a cool nickname for Tom,
don't make them do that. It's going to be so bad.
Oh no, it's going to be great. We'll pop.
We need the comment.
Okay, do you know what? Here's something. If someone comes up with an actually good one for me, like a really decent like coach nickname thingy, because it can't be the Real Technician, it can't be Me Lost the Mind, Sasha, and Me Tom the Mind Hates. It can't be Shelby Kills Everyone Stance. It can't be all of this sort of shit. Like the wizard, it can't be the magician, it can't be that sort of stuff. You come up with a good one and you get a free consultation, like a proper one where I'll go into whatever you want to do, like 45 minutes. That's normally 75 quid. Like whatever you want, come up with a good one and it's yours. Right?
Is that technically the first Off the Script sponsor? I think that might.
Yeah, it's the first giveaway.
first giveaway.
Yeah, but if you send your superhero names to Tom Hayes.
What a superhero!
It's basically superhero names.
No.
The dehydrator. There you go.
The dehydrator. No, I actually don't do that. God, that makes me sound like I do fucked up shit with like fucking. Speaking of like just general dehydration in general. Actually, to be fair, one thing I did want to bring up, and one thing we can talk about at some point, whenever you guys can be asked, is Peak Max that Strong do.
Yes.
So you know how they've got Hydromax. If someone suggested, I'll just call it Dehydromax. I'm like, probably not best to call it that. But it is really, to be fair, it is really, really good. And every single one of my clients who did the British used it. Because I got a bunch given to me by Rick, and I was like, oh fuck it, I'm not gonna fucking do it with that. So I sent it out to all my clients. I posted it to them, and they all ran it in different capacities going in towards the British. And it did make a difference. To be fair, it did work really, really well. Really
it's just a blend of natural diuretic, right?
Oh.
He's gone.
We've lost the rehydrator.
What are we doing with connection? It's gone. Connection's gone. Try that again. Connection went. Try that again.
What was what is there anything specific in that panel that's
Boys, do you want me to do this off my phone so I'm not doing it off the data? Because I feel that might be the problem here.
Yeah, sure, if you want to do that, if you want to give that a go. Little interim period, even though we have just started.
Just rejoin.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm very excited to have on Tom the Mind's I almost said me, Tom the Mind.
Tom the Milos Sasha.
Exactly.
Hey, imagine that.
We're gonna ask him some good questions, I promise, guys.
But it's been a couple of weeks. We've been doing our thing.
Yeah.
It is good to be back.
Taking pictures of babies, holding people.
Yeah, there he is.
Oh, the audio back. We got audio.
Cool.
Can
you flip it?
I think we're there. Yeah.
Ace.
Can you flip it at all?
What?
Can you flip the phone?
Oh yeah, Tom. Can you?
The OCD people shall be.
Yeah.
There we go.
Just so people that have
a
fit when watching this on YouTube, eating their korma or whatever in the morning.
Okay. Yeah.
Eating a korma in the morning.
Cream of rice.
Right.
No, he said core. He meant core. That's it.
Bucks.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, carry on, Tom. Peak Max.
Peak Max, yeah, no, it's got a couple of things in it, which just for like vasodilation, which is probably going to help with a bit of a carb up and stuff like that, running it into the week. So you build up a dose of it. It's got natural diuretics. In the middle of the week, that's going to do buggity fuck all. But when you get close to the actual show the day before, when you're using some form of dry out process with your manipulations with sodium fluid, whatever, caffeine and things like that, which you can add in alongside it. And then on the day of the show, it's very good for drying someone off should they need to. Once they're fully carved up, it was really, really useful to see because it's just got everything you need in there. And everyone's like, oh, can't you put it into like a powder? And Rick was like, no, dandelion root tastes like absolute dog shit. Why would anyone want to do that? Yeah, so he just put it into the capsule form. So we had vitamin C, dandelion root, and then there's a couple of other bits and bobs in there that I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's yeah, really good. Like H2O remove and stuff, but with added shit to make it better.
Yeah,
so
cool. I did actually run H2O remove for my second show in 20. And it was to mixed effects. For me, I think I just ran myself too flat anyway. That, so I don't think I ever got to experience the full benefits of any of those sort of supplements. That's something I definitely want to fuck about with next year.
Yeah, so it depends. Like, if you're going to be using it, you probably just like if you get Peak Max, if you try it, you would probably just run like a small amount, like 1 serving every day for the weekend towards the show, and then during your carb up, jack it up just a little bit, and then on the actual day before the show. So if you can't like carb for 2 days, and then dry up a little bit the day before, you would probably just want to be using it in excess the day before, and then a little bit in the morning as well, just to get that last little bit of fluid out, and jobs are good. But yeah, really, really good. Really rated it. Really, really good. Noticeable changes with people as well every day. So yeah, really good stuff. Cool.
Coming back on then to peaks themselves. I think it'd be remiss if we didn't talk about this weekend and clients that you had over this past weekend.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Do you want to give us a little rundown of your weekend in terms of clientele and stuff like that?
Oh, like how they did? Like, clients did really fucking well, man. Yeah, I had 8 going into it. I had 3 British champions, and which was Sanaya, Neil, and Yannick.
Yep.
And then I had how many? What else was there? There was so there's the 5 others. The other there was how many made the first call out? Loads made the first call out, and then like two of them didn't, but we knew that the lineups that they were going into were a little bit above their sort of station. Not station, but just that we knew that it was just going to be not suited for them at that time. So Taylor, for example, who didn't make the first call out at the Brits, was like fucking well off because he had done 3 shows and he had got 3rd at the FitX British where he looked amazing, and at this one he looked dreadful because he had been on antibiotics for 5 days before the comp, and then he had 3 days break, and we were like, well, I can't really do anything here. Like, so he actually, the one time I've used, probably like 3rd time I've used it, like, ever, he ended up using Diazide the night before the show, and I'm like, look, you need to expel water pharmaceutically at this point because we have no other way for you to do so. So here you go, try this. It was like the one time I'm like, yeah, it's probably actually going to be needed because you're absolute bucket of water right now. It's not body fat, it's just antibiotics have fucked you here. So
is that if you're like peaking, like I don't know exactly how you run your clients, but are you someone who steers away normally from?
Yeah, if I can avoid using a diuretic, I will avoid it. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. If someone uses one, it's only because they absolutely desperately needed it at that point, or their peak would have been far more suited to need, like for them specifically, is going to need one, and it would only be a Diazide, and it would only be half of one or a whole one split over 2 days, basically. So that's basically the way I do it. Normally, I would try and avoid it. Yeah, I mean, for Sarah, when she turned pro, she didn't use any. Caitlin hasn't used any this year. Big Bird didn't use any. Chris Swan didn't use any. Adam didn't use any. And Adam Sales was absolutely peeled out of his fucking mind, and he didn't touch on at all. Everyone kept asking, like, "Oh, what diuretic did he do?" And other coaches are like, "What do you do to get him so dry?" And I'm like, "Don't use fucking diuretics. Like, don't fucking do it."
I've seen that like in a few different places where some people are just dead against it. Also because it does cause some form of stress. Like there is a
with diuretics. I'm not against them as such, but what I am is like, if you know how to manipulate sodium, potassium, water, fluids, natural diuretics to get an effect out of a body, you can get someone dry without them. And if they've done their homework, don't just base your peaks on the fact that, well, we don't, like, we're just going to use one because I always do. Like, if you know what you're doing, you can not use them. Like, it's only for like the problem we had with one guy was that he needed to make a weight cutoff. So we didn't use it to get him to make the weight cutoff. That would be mad. We got him down there. Then we carved him up the day before the show. And then we were like, well, you're sweating profusely and you've just eaten 900 grams of carbs in the space of like 7 hours. Like, we're going to need a diuretic here because you have actually started to spill over. And unfortunately, it was just the way it worked. So, yeah.
So you had how many? God, you would have had like, what is that? Close to 10 clients at the British? How many clients?
I had 8, but three of them won it, and then the other 5, they had Caitlin who got 4th. I had Craig who got 4th. I had Will who was in the first call out, but they only awarded top 3, which was really weird.
It's really weird that because I'd spoken to Will like after the Midlands because me and Jermaine were really, really impressed with his presentation and things like that.
Oh, it's cool, isn't it? His pose is amazing.
Yeah. And but anyone who's wondering, that's Will Dyson on Instagram. I was quite surprised with his approach to prep and just his approach to nutrition in general, because he's proper like on it and away from any sort of bodybuilding stereotype that you can think of.
He's someone that we're going to look at having on the podcast as well, I think, at some point soon. May as well grab it.
I'm actually just messaging him now. I've got to reply to him about something.
But yeah, he looked great. I was surprised with the whole class thing, especially at the start when they awarded the pro card for both classic divisions. I was like, oh, it must be a pro card winner for every class, and then for like 4 classes, they didn't give any out. And
I know it's interesting, right? Because I do know some feds, like I know a lot of the natty feds will only award pro cards if they actually think the winner is not pro caliber.
I presume that was what it was.
Yeah, case in point, Keefe, for example, when he turned like DFAC pro, there was no reason in any other normal circumstance that a show winner at a junior level would win that, but obviously in that instance you did. So it's interesting. I was actually very impressed by the PCA this weekend because honestly, like after the past year, I was not expecting there to be that caliber of competitors at any show. And every single show I've been to, PCA and otherwise, over the past like couple of months has been like stacked. Some really, really good competitors.
To be fair, mate, the physique I was like actually blown away by, like of your guys, was Neil. Like, I didn't even know you were working with him, but my God, he was full as fuck.
Yeah, he's monstrous, isn't he? He's
insane.
Right. Bro, he's like 105 kg striated, ripped to his fucking mind at like 5'9".
Yeah.
Like he's absolutely huge. Like he's such a big motherfucker. So in person as well, he's like I met him in person like before, but I hadn't seen him with his like, so I was tanning him up. I was like, getting his tan on him. That's another story. But I was getting his tan on him before he went backstage. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, bro. Like he's just dense all over. So 3-dimensional and so muscular and everything. Yeah, such a fucking big dude. But he's like 40, I think like 43, 44, 45. But
I was talking to Dean Lashek at the gym today. And he's like, yeah, man, he's a fucking unit. He always has been. So
he's won loads of shows before. I think he's got British titles and things and all that sort of stuff. Doesn't really have many weak body parts. I think he's torn his bicep at one point, but he's you can't really tell. Like
the left one.
No, I think it's just right. Yeah.
That's how you know. Yeah. You know you can barely tell.
There you go. I don't even know. But no, overall, I was impressed by everybody. I know he's not one of your guys, but Sean as well, classic guy turned pro. Speaking of torn biceps as well, like. Sean, if Sean corrects a few of his issues going forward, like a couple of things, he needs to get his gyno cut out as well. And if he puts what he needs to do, I will talk to him about this at some point when I can be asked. But he needs to put some oil in his bicep and start filling that out, because that's not cheating at that point. It's not cheating. Anything in fucking bodybuilding is cheating, but like that's not
wouldn't be frowned upon in my opinion, because
No.
it kills his overall symmetry in certain shots. He hides it quite well, but but like with pro ranks and things going forwards, he needs to put some fucking oil in there and blow that up just to balance out the overall thing. And if he gets his gyno cut out as well, then fucking the world's his oyster there. Really, he could do really well in the future. Yeah,
I actually didn't realize he was 36. So.
Oh, is he? I don't even know how it is.
Yeah, he was planning on calling it quits after the show because he didn't have any intentions of winning a pro card.
Right.
But yeah, he's got that now.
He said to me backstage before he went on, not backstage, before he went on, that he thought the guy the black dude was gonna it was in his class was gonna beat him, but he didn't have enough muscle to take it off Sean really. There, Sean had a bit more size and a bit more sort of symmetry to him. So.
Yeah.
As well, overall winner Tim Aspinall.
Really, really good. Had a good battle with Neil in the Brits in the height class in the tall class. I believe Neil is just a bit thicker and a bit denser, a bit more grainy, but Tim's overall shape and presentation and structure were just really did shine through. And that would have been close if you had looked on the scorecard. I bet there would have been a couple of people gone for Neil there. Really.
That's what I was thinking. When we were sat there watching, I was sort of like, I wasn't quite sure which way they were going to go with it, because Tim from the front is one of the most impressive amateurs I've seen in person. Yeah. And then from the rear, he's good as well, but I think he was holding a little bit of water from the rear. I think he was peeled to fuck, and in person he would be peeled to fuck, but under those lights nothing's hidden. And I think that it's not that he wasn't peeled to fuck, it was just that Neil is so fucking inside out that anyone looks fat next to him. That's it. Any that 1%.
If you're not on the same level as Neil, he'll make you look soft. Like like even Craig, when Craig stood next to him at the London show, and they were being compared there and stuff. It was like Craig is fucking peeled, but Neil is just grainy, but he's really vascular too, so it makes him look even harder than he actually is. So yeah, that was cool. I think in terms of overall the classes that I saw, because I had to leave after the men's stuff was done. I was done after that. I didn't watch any bikini or physique, but the figure classes were pretty good across the board. There were some decisions that I was a little bit sort of funky, a little bit weird, but I think the PCA have a certain type of figure that they like to see in figure classes rather than what the IFBB dictate as figure. Because quite frankly, if they were going by that, Caitlin would have pissed that class. Pissed it. Like just walked through it. And if they had taken those girls and stuck them on a figure lineup, she would be center stage and not moved, and the other girls would have those girls who were in the top would have been moved around, and they would have gone for other physiques completely, because it's two very, very, very different looks, very different ones.
It's interesting because we were really that was one of the things with the women's divisions. We were starting to be fair, right? It's taken me and Joe a long time to wrap our head around women's categories in terms of how they go about judging them, and that goes for IFBB or PCA, but especially with PCA, there was some people who were structurally kind of close to Caitlin, but she just has this ridiculous proportion that she's like.
Yeah, and it's that, and I think the thing is as well that her look, it's just plain and simple. That's why she was beating more muscular, more dense girls than her when she did the two bros qualifiers, because the look is like, have you seen the I don't know if she sent it to you guys, but the fucking the message that who's that head judge from the Olympia, what's his name? Steve. So he sent her feedback saying, you are absolutely perfect for figure. You are completely and utterly the right shape for it. All you need to do is be a little bit bigger and be more conditioned. Just bring exactly the same look that you did there, and that's the card's basically yours in the future. So when you've got that being said, that's very much it's this thing, isn't it? Really, it's two different looks. Two very, very different sort of things, and it's just one of them. It's fine, it's possible.
Lee blew me away as soon as she walked out. I said to you, it's game over.
Oh yeah, she's real good. She's real good. Yeah. I think the other girl who I had it round the other way. I had Natalie in second though. The black lady. I had her in second because I love her shape. It's so nice. It's so figure-esque for what they want, for what I sort of want to see really.
You saw her at the other show.
Yeah, Midlands. Yeah, I'm sure at the Midlands and at this show she's considerably harder as well.
Yeah,
She's real good. She's real
Yeah,
good.
really pleasing, extremely feminine, not overly muscular, but really, really good as well.
No, yeah, really nice. Look, who I can't remember who else was in. Who else? Oh, Dan's other girl, Charlie or something like that. The one who like fucked the collarbone up.
Yes, I think I know.
Yeah. So the lady who got second, the blonde lady, she does like a really cool routine with flips and shit.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh
yeah. So she got second behind Lee. But I would have had Natalie in second there, and then her in third. But I think that it would have been close between the two on the judges' sheets as well. So
that was one thing I remember turning around to Joe and asking him, like, to what extent does routine like have a weighting on scores? Like,
not at all, because all the judging's done by the time it's done. It's all done. So you're not marked on your routine in the slightest. You don't get marked on it in any way, shape, or form, which is interesting. And I think within like classic bodybuilding, it definitely should be. But it's not judged in any capacity with PCA. You could go on there and do a fucking backflip and then walk off the stage and go, yeah, that'll do. And they'd be like, well, still won, even though that was really fucking weird. Like,
there was a guy, wasn't there?
The Masters guy. He did that backflip and landed on one leg. It was incredible.
And that was like, he was like a big lad as well, like a little bit bottom heavy as well, like physique wise. Like a bit sort of
impressive.
What would you say some of your key take homes from the coaching season, Martin?
For me, I think one thing I will say is that PCA, and I've always said it, PCA bum conditioning. And if you don't turn up inside out, back to front as long as it fits the criteria for your class, so like men's physique or classic or regular bodybuilding or trained figure or trained bikini, if you aren't turning up, absolutely the most conditioned on stage, it's pointless. Like, you have to do that. Like, if you do that, there's 90% chance you're going to win. Like, one thing I'll take from the PCA is that with two bros, the judging is a little inconsistent sometimes, because they had that in classic they had that fucking dude, the young dude, what's his name, Kaya.
Yeah.
Right, they had Kaya winning, and he was soft as his shape was the best. He was soft as fuck from the back, but he was like. But then they had another dude win another class who was just like a bodybuilder, but just real hard. Yeah. So it was a little bit inconsistent there. Like, if you're gonna sort of run through that line, then the other placings in the beforehand should have been better. Should have been sort of more consistent with that. But two bros a little inconsistent, a little bit weird, but usually okay. Usually
I was
all right.
actually going to ask this. Do you think what do you think in terms of like what we see at like the high pro level across all categories? To what extent do you think that has a weigh in on judging decisions at the amateur level, like
a downward stream sort of effect?
Yeah, like
I don't think it does, because it's such a mixture of judges. But like, I think what you'll notice is that whatever happens at the Olympia one year, especially for women's classes, dictates the following year round and following pull through. So if you look at women's physique this year, a lot of the very, very big, so I have to pay attention to that for Caitlin. A lot of the very, very, very big girls, either side of in the 5th and 6th spot, weren't getting their way into the middle and being judged and compared there. It was very much shape, a good tight level of conditioning with big, full, sort of striated but not completely striated glutes. But it was very much just peak to perfection look for the criteria, and that was working its way in alongside good shape. Whereas the beefcake girls were being just pushed around and sort of getting the 5th or 6th or 7th or 8th spot. And the centre lot were, because the lady who got second, Natalia, beautiful structure, absolutely beautiful. She just needs to be the slightest little bit bigger to match the girl who won it, the woman who's won it twice now, Sarah, whatever.
Yeah, I remember seeing her years and years ago, like when I imagine when she just recently turned pro.
Yeah,
playing around for a while, and I don't think she's ever like. This is like the closest she's been, I think, to being like.
Yeah, I think so too, and she is very, very good. I think when Shanique Grant was doing it, she was dominating, and then I think she just had a bit of a bad prep or something, and she got the second spot, and then she was like, "Yeah, fuck it, I'm done with it." But going, yeah, that lady who got it this time, because I have to pay attention because Sarah is going to be doing pro shows next year, so she's going to be doing the well, we haven't decided yet, but we're going to be looking at ones closer towards the actual Olympia itself. So we'll try and do like 2 in Europe as our, and then 1 in the States. That will be our goal, to just sort of like, you know, get 3 under our belt, see where she stacks up against these girls and what judges like her look, whether they like her look in the States or whether they like her look in Europe, and then just take from there and go to the Olympia.
So as a season for her, it's like you're not looking to qualify on points or anything like that. It's entirely,
if we qualify on points, we'll still go and we'll just give it a good fucking welly, and just really have fun there. Just bring her best possible look that we want to bring and have fun there. But we're not gonna we're gonna take the first show very, very, very not lightly, but we're gonna learn from it whatever we get. Like, we'll bring her in as what we think will look really good, and then if we take from that and they go, oh, hang on a minute, she was way too conditioned, we'll go, oh, fucking hell, we'll bring her body weight up and we'll soften her up a bit and we'll fill her out a bit. But if they're like, if they say, oh, she just needs to get a little bit tighter, balance out this area, this bit wasn't very full, whatever, then we can start taking pinpoints to work in an off season. So
interesting. So I think Caitlin said to us that she's planning on having a longer off season this time, like taking a good amount of time out. Is that correct?
So we're going to off. We haven't particularly spoken about it, but we're going to off season from this point. So from now, essentially today, all the way through to, I would imagine we're going to have a go at very early 2023. So we'll be a year out and then go back. Nice. I would imagine so. We will decide that when that comes around, though. If we're looking at her and we're like, yeah, I think you're ready to challenge for it now, then we'll have a go, because she made it to 2 overalls. So absolutely. You know,
I mean, the thing is with her is, like, again, everyone always forgets this. I feel like she is 19. Like, sky's the limit. It's not like she needs to rush at all. Like,
no, we've said to her that we you know, and we've said between the two of us that she wants to turn pro by the time she's 21, which will make her the youngest youngest figure pro ever from the UK. Because Kira Aston is the one who's got it previously. Yeah. She won in Iceland. She turned pro in Iceland, just where Kerry Sexton turned pro as well. And if we have to go abroad to go like to somewhere like that and have a go, then that's cool. But we still want to do it, you know.
Yeah, fantastic. Another thing, I don't know if you want to touch on it, because I know, like, this is like breaking news effectively from today in regards to Caitlin. Yeah. You are like having a split dynamic, I think, in terms of coaching.
No, she's just getting training with AJ.
Is that how that's working? So
yeah, it's literally just AJ is just going to oversee the training. I'm going to oversee everything else, like supplementation, diet, and everything else on that track. He's going to oversee the training block. But then if I say, like, I'm like, oh, do you know what I think we could probably do with bringing up this area a little bit more because of these certain things, then then AJ can go away with it. All right, well, this will slot in nicely with the phase that we're doing at the moment. And if I say, okay, well, you know, we're getting signs that showing that she's a bit beat up, she's a bit knackered out, whatever, we're going to take a deload, then he can program that in, essentially. So he's going to oversee that programming side, and we'll come to decisions based on what, you know, they need to do, but he will have the final say on sort of the training aspect of things, as long as it blends in with the diet. We do need to talk about this. Me and him need to have a chat about this, but he's keen to be on board with it. So
I think that's going to be a really interesting dynamic. Like, obviously AJ is effectively my prep coach, but like that, like from what I've seen of Caitlin and what I've seen of AJ's training in relation to like how I like to train as well, I could completely understand that decision, and I imagine AJ get along quite well anyway in that regard to you guys.
Yeah, absolutely, because they already train together occasionally anyway, so it's just gonna slot in really well. Like I live like 3 hours away. Like if I live near her, like I would train with her at some point, you know. Same with, you know, if any of my clients live nearby. Like Sarah lives like 30 minutes away from me, so we train at the same gym, and we just get sessions in. We just trained today. Like we get sessions in, and it works really well because she trains with me 2 days a week, and then she trains with one of her other mates over in Gloucester 2 days, you know, a week. So the dynamic will work perfectly. It'll work really well. She's, you know, AJ's a good coach in himself. But and I'm not obviously this isn't disrespectful to the 30s, but with going forward with what she wants to do and the route that she wants to go down, so to speak, there needs to be that level of oversight on her protocols. Do you see? Yeah, you guys, what I'm gonna know about. Everyone who's listening knows what I'm fucking on about. So
yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
And where do we want to take it from here? Do we want to get into some other questions?
Yeah, if you want. Yeah,
Why not?
Let's throw some in there. I know we've got some stupid ones, probably.
Yeah.
Do you want
to cover any of the ones you went through? You got time?
Oh, I've left a fucking piece of paper downstairs. But basically, people were just asking about like, what do you do post show with carb intake and stuff like that? And it's really simple. Just start working it up very carefully each week. Nothing too ridiculous. Just gradually bring it up. These questions have been answered a fucking 100 times on 100 different podcasts, haven't they? So.
Okay.
See, it's boring him. It's boring him so much. He's yawning.
Fucking yawn.
The one thing I'm curious as to, as a coach, when do you see key signs that either, number one, you are pushing too hard too quickly, or is that just are you being a bitch?
Okay, so here's a funny one that I will sort of take from that and spin with that. So one of my clients, Johnny, do you know Johnny, Mr. the deadlift man?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I'm about.
Yeah.
Johnny Mack. So Johnny has very fucking good genetics, right? And he is staying very, very tight. And he's on a good whack of food, like off-season food, but it's not anything crazy. His drug cycle is pretty standard, pretty basic, nothing insane. It's relatively low dose, actually, for someone of his size. He is absolutely ballooning up super fast, and I'm not pushing him. He's just trains like a fucking mutant. He is a fucking mutant, and he eats like an absolute fucking tank. Like, he just, like, the guy, have I told you about his, have I spoken to you about his off-season diet before? Joe, have you?
No.
Have we ever spoken about this? Right. So this is an example. So basically where he's at the moment, he's probably on about like 600, 700 grams, probably about 700 grams of carb a day, right?
Yep.
When he was in his off season before, he was eating. So it was about 4 to 5 meals. I wasn't working with him. He was with someone else at the time, doing his own thing at the time. It's like 500 grams of potato, and 300 grams of chicken, 4 times in a day. He would have 300 grams of oats a day, blended with whey and other bits and bobs, berries, fruit, nut butter, half a jar of nut butter in there, blend it, whatever, down in it, that sort of shit. Then he would have 4 Lucozade Sports, like the sugar, the dextrose drinks. He would have that mixed with like 3 scoops of like carb powder, intra-workout with EAAs, BCAAs, creatine, all sorts of just random shit chucked in. He would drink that. Then after training, he would go and eat an entire box of cereal, a full box, 400 and whatever grams of cereal with a scoop of whey, protein shake, whatever. And then sometimes a McDonald's after that, if he still could get more in. And then he would have steak and potato again, or steak and rice in the evening.
Curious how the fuck he's not diabetic.
Right. Okay. He was scranning in that much food. His coach at the time was literally just like doing his shots for him, and it just said, "What are you?" Like, Johnny asked him, was like, what am I taking then? Like, what are you doing? He goes, "Oh, it's just steroids, mate." And just did the shot. Telling him what's in the fucking cycle, right? He's just jabbing him with shit. So Johnny doesn't know what he was taking to get up to 280 the last time. So I'm like, I was like, how much are you jabbing? He goes, it was about 2.5 mil 3 times a week. I was like, okay, so it's not a crazy amount, but it was probably like just a whack of whatever's sort of going. So I've got him on a bit more of a set regimen, and he knows what he's actually going and doing. But Johnny just trains like a fucking tank, and going from like that with the food intake, with his genetics, with his body simply wanting to be that size. It like, I saw him the other day. He's 270 pounds at 5'8".
Nice.
Like, he's enormous. Like, or 5'9". He's fucking enormous. And going from there, he's going to be 300 by the time, like, probably by the middle of, well, by the start of next year, he'll be 300 pounds.
Fucking hell, man.
Now, leading back to what you said, how do you know about pushing? right? Johnny isn't pushing, his body just wants to do that at this point. He is just that way inclined. But if you're having to fucking continuously ram it down to like in that insane manner, and you're not really getting those benefits out of it, and you're not seeing that level of development out of it, and it's not, you know, good quality sort of tissue that's being put on, that's when it's time to start putting back on things. If you aren't looking at it in the aspect of, okay, well, what I'm doing doesn't reflect what's happening with my physique, it's too much, it's too one-way inclined. You need to start picking out the aspects of that, dig around at what's actually going on, and then return back to your actual setup.
The reason I ask is because I had a similar answer to you. I'd received it from someone who's interested in actually working with me, just to get themselves in a bit better shape, because I've taken someone on recently who's from a strength training background, but they have no real macronutrient knowledge or nutritional knowledge or anything whatsoever.
Okay.
And I looked at the plan. I can't remember what the other ones were, but it was on 175 grams of fat per day.
That was quite a lot.
Yeah.
And, but carbs are at like 200 or something. So I was like, right, we're having a shift around here. And it's been 9 days now. And because it's obviously holding a lot of water from all the inflammation. A lot of it was coming from dairy products as well. So we'd gone from like 175 fat. I took it all the way down to 80 gram.
Yeah.
And carbs are at like 550 on a training day, 300 on a rest day.
Okay.
And composition has changed drastically. Appetite's gone through the roof, and he's kind of hinting that he wants more food.
Yeah.
And he's lean anyway. And so I'm going to give it another week on what we're at now.
Yeah,
and then
perfect. Yeah.
probably increase again slightly.
Carbs slightly increase, protein very minor increase, gradually push it up over time. It's the best way to do it. Yeah, that's what I do with everyone.
Because he's coming from that strength training background, but he wants, this is the thing, like I said, what do you want? Because I've done his programming as well. And I was like, what do you want? Do you want a bigger bench, or do you want a bigger chest? And I said, they're not mutually exclusive, but you can buy certain things to get better results.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Yeah,
and he was like, okay, cool. So I've taken the reins on that, and he's already over the moon. So it's just cool to see. Like, you see all the time, but as someone who's actually being given the opportunity to work with someone, you know, it's cool to know that what I know and what we know can benefit someone literally just like that.
Yeah.
It's cool, man. So
yeah, it's good, isn't it? When it's just those minor changes as well. You take someone on who's just had like a bit of a shit time with stuff for whatever reason. It's not necessarily always a bad plan. It's just not a plan suited to them. And then you take from that, and then you can, you know, very much fix things, and they go, fucking hell, that feels so much better. And it's like, because now we're doing it in a way that's going to work for you.
Actually, I've got an interesting one. So I am about to start working with someone. He won't mind me talking about this, because I know him fairly well, but he is post-op from having surgery on his stomach.
Okay.
In particular, he's someone who's gone out of his way before speaking to me to have surgery basically for stomach reduction. So he's now working with probably about 20% of his original stomach capacity that he had. This is a big boy. This is like a 300-pound plus guy who's now suddenly on the liquid diet effectively post operation. Have you ever worked with any individual that's like way out there in terms of like the norm, like someone who you very rarely come across and end up working with?
Yeah, massive. Yeah, I've worked with a guy who well, he was a lady before and now he's a dude.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Worked with him for about like 8 weeks or so, and then he just wasn't really like he wasn't really sort of into the lifestyle as such, and he wanted to do it, but he didn't quite realize, I think, how much it took. But that was an interesting one, because he was like, oh, I'm on TRT and all of this, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And he goes, oh, I don't know if you can see on the check-in photos, but like obviously I've had the scar underneath where his like nip is like, because I've had all my breast tissue removed out there. I'm like, breast tissue? Yeah, guy, no. And he's like, no, I'm post-op. And I'm like, fucking hell, all right, okay. It was a bit of a weird one, but I was like, yeah, let's work with this. I was like, I don't fucking care. Like, let's just see what we can do. And I just explained to him about how hormones are going to be a little bit different, how his muscle tissue hasn't been grown with that higher testosterone environment, so it's going to take a long time. You know, if he does go down the route of using steroids in the future, he's probably going to need a bit more than other people would do to get the same sort of effects. And it was just quite an interesting one to see. But yeah, that a few other sort of things as well, like what else people have I worked with. Yeah, I'm trying to think of a few off the top of my head, but I'm fucking tired, so I can't. But I've probably worked with a few other guys and girls who've got, a few issues and things that we need to sort of work our way around. Nothing as obscure as that, but yeah.
Can we get into something that I actually feel like you're quite qualified to talk about? And that is managing females around and training in relation to like, not just like cycles, but also just like female hormonal cycles generally. Like, is there any sort of like effectively periodizing the period or anything that goes in programming?
The problem, I think you can do it. You can definitely do it. But fuck me, does it get like complicated, especially with female bodybuilders? So it's definitely doable, and you can be like, and you can program a training plan to sort of suit around when their monthly cycle is, and on certain times within a month you're going to pull back on certain volumes and things like that. But a lot of the girls that I work with are very advanced, so I literally just go, like with the check-in, like, oh, how's this week been? And then they'll send the check-in sheet and all that shit over, and I'll just go over it and I'll go, oh, right, okay, so not had a great week. And then they'll be like, and then I'll look back at their weeks. I'm like, oh, monthly was this time and this time and this time, it's this time again this month or whatever. And and then you just realize that it is always gonna cause an issue. And even if you just get them to back off on that week, they know it's coming, so they just back off themselves anyway. This is really, really easy like that. So
interesting, yeah. So like I have that with one of my female clients who, to be fair, she's had a bunch of issues with like borderline, I'd say, like in my opinion, is contraceptive abuse, where like you've been running certain contraceptive hormones for so many years, like even through puberty or whatever, an effect on like the regularity of periods and stuff like that. And it is, a lot of it comes down to, like you say, it's just like letting them sort of take the reins somewhat on what they like.
You have to a degree, because especially like a lot of if I work with girls who are generally like a bit bigger bodybuilders, a lot of the time they've when I've got them, they're like, oh, I don't really get my monthlies very often, or I have PCOS and I don't really get my monthlies once every 2 or 3 weeks or whatever. And it's usually like, all right, okay, well, we're just going to do the best that we can to manage around what would roughly sort of be happening. But if they aren't getting it, it kind of makes my job easier, because I'm just like, well, you don't have to worry about that shit, changing up your body weight and everything. But like, if they do get it, then obviously you have to pay attention to the fact that, okay, so look, your body weight is going to be up this week because of this, and this is going to be, happening, whatever. Just look at where they are in their monthly cycle. Sometimes it's not something you need to just let them just sort that sort of shit yourself. Then
do you prefer coaching people during the off season or prepping them?
Prep.
Okay.
Yeah, prep, because there's always that crazy changes, isn't there? There's like, oh, fucking hell, you've dropped 4 pounds this week and you've got striated glutes now. Awesome. As opposed to you're 2 pounds up, you did a little bit stronger on one thing and you're still whinging about how much food you're eating. Cool. Like, it's two very, very different like things, isn't it? And one's really enjoyable and one's like a bit, like, fucking, this is a bit consistent. It's great because they're progressing, but it's like, preps. I do enjoy preps more because it's just really good fun to see, all of the changes. And I love the amount that I have to sort of they're bouncing stuff back and forth off me. Like, towards the back end of a prep, anyone will tell you it's like daily check-ins with me. Like, how are you getting on? How are you feeling? How's this? How's recovery? And then we'll do a call, and then we'll do another one later in the week, and then we'll go over, the fact that they lost 2 pounds in one day. Why did this happen? Or all this sort of shit. So I love picking apart the prep and why it's and making it just absolutely spot on.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Would you say you prefer coaching quote unquote athletes as opposed to lifestyle clients?
I don't have any lifestyle clients at all.
at all? Like, is
No.
it none?
I have 80 going on a lot more than that. I have actually got to eventually get round and sort that out. But basically, yeah, I've got over 80 at the moment, unfortunately. Clients who are all competitors. I don't train anything. Yeah.
Well, that was one thing I did want to like sort of finish on was the evolution of evolution training, because you're not on your own anymore.
No, I'm not now. No, I've got Sarah who works for me, and my brother Ben who also works for me as well. Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, it's really good. Like it's nice because they're both ace. Like my brother's a really good PT. He really knows his stuff, and Sarah's a fucking professional bodybuilder. So she knows her shit, and she's not just a pro who got there on genetics as well. She actually knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
So it's cool though. Yeah, no, we've definitely progressed over time. We've definitely worked our way up, and like I've put the time in and stuff, and now it's good to just get other people on board now, and not just share in that sort of success, but also they're going to help the brand grow and the actual everything grow. But me and my brother have actually got a clothing brand sort of coming out soon, which is going to be fun. So really, really looking forward to that. I know everyone does it, but ours is very much tailored to competitive bodybuilders or people who want to compete and people who understand the saying of what we're putting on the brand. I can't say what it is, but what we're putting on the brand and what the actual logo means. Like I think a lot of people will be like, they'll get it and they'll be able to relate to it as well, which is kind of cool. So
yeah, I'm super looking forward to seeing that then.
Yeah, it'd be good fun. It'd be awesome.
Yeah.
The shit thing is that are you keeping the same colour scheme?
What, the orange and black? With the white? What's that background you got there, mate? What's that background?
Oh shit.
What's
Think
the
about
nice background you got there? No. I think it's just white and black that we're doing. White, black, and then some grey as well. But it's going to be good. We're going to get a few people on board to promo it as well and do some advertisement for us, adverts which are going to be competitive bodybuilders and people who have done well this year. In one respect, I said to my brother as well that I've done well for myself through the bodybuilding industry, and I've made a good life out of it because of bodybuilding, and I want to kind of give back in a way to people who've done very well this year. So I'm going to go about and speak to these people who've done well, and it's in a certain capacity. I can't say because again it will give it away. But I'm just going to talk to these people and get them in for the promo video and just pay them to travel down and get this promo stuff done, which will be really cool. So
it's good. It's
exciting time.
Step up.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah. The rest of the questions were just
everyone does it at some point. What way? Let's laugh at them.
The majority of the questions were either covered on the first one that we did with Caitlin, or they're just generic and shit, and they can find them everywhere else. So
yeah, that's it. Fuck you. Get better questions. Figure it out.
Your listeners are just like, oh well, I won't bother next time.
Yeah, I think that's why the viewer attention's going straight down the pan. It's like you're not going to even bother answering our questions.
We love our viewers. Thank you, viewers. You're fantastic, and we appreciate your questions. But ask some different questions, please.
Yeah,
please ask some different questions.
I think what a lot of people tend to do, we get similar questions from the same people, but when we have a different guest on. So we've had like different people on in the past that may have contrasting views on certain topics, and they're either trying to start shit or just like pick the brain of everyone.
Yeah. Or they didn't get the answer that they wanted, so now they want to be told something different by someone else.
They want the validation. That's all they want.
Yeah, it's that confirmation bias, isn't it? It's like I just want to be told that what I'm doing is good because this is what I want to be doing.
7 grams is perfectly fine.
Oh, we can't talk about high dose cycles. I've spoken about that too many times recently. I keep getting
need a break.
Do you remember this shit on fucking? Do you remember it on my page? Like I spoke about a client cycle going in towards a show, and everyone was like, "Oh, so much gear."
Yeah, briefly, yeah.
Yeah, he just won the British, so suck a dick. Like.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Yeah. You got anything you want to quickly add in, Tom?
Yeah.
No, I think I'm good, guys. I'm gonna go downstairs, eat my roast dinner, and that's that. I'm not doing my advertisement. People know who. No, I'm joking. They don't know who the fuck I am. Evolution Training. Find me on Instagram if you want. Drop me a message. I'll probably end up telling you that I don't have spaces, but feel free to message me anyway. But I'm yes, prep coaching and all of that shamarky.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening and watching the Off the Script podcast. Joe, do you want to leave anything at the end here, or?
No, not really.
Competitive season's over now. We're not going to go.
It's over. Nobody cares about it anymore. Everyone just go back to the
there's another show again. What is it? I don't even know what show it is. There's another PCA show next month, isn't there?
UK Open. I've got 2 in it. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
I might come down.
There's the BNBF and the WNBF for any natties out there who I'll be at one of them. I will be.
Wait, hang on a minute. Aren't you 2 natty?
Yeah.
The thing for me, right? Like, I really enjoyed actually going to watch the BNBF Midlands when we went.
Yeah.
Which one?
BNBF Midlands.
Oh, sound. I've been to a few natty shows before. It's the UK DFBA one. I've had a couple of people do that, and they've done okay. So yeah, it's been cool.
I was impressed with the production value of the BNBF one, to be fair.
Yeah, I have noticed that they do put some fucking effort into the lighting as well, which is really nice to see. Shame I can't compete there personally, but you know, it's one of those. But I do have something to say about the drug testing from the BNBF though, if we have time.
Go for it. Say it.
Right. My client, who is 100% fucking natty, failed their drug test. Then went back to, because apparently his epitestosterone to testosterone ratio was out. They then asked him, do you want to send us another sample? Send us a sample, right? See how there could be problems there. Sending someone a sample, right? Yeah. And then, or do you want us to take from the sample that we've got now? I'm sorry, but if you fail the first time and you're sending a fucking sample in, I'm going to go to my brother, get my brother to piss in a cup because he's never been into a fucking gym properly in his life. And he's going to piss in that cup because he doesn't know what the fucking hell a steroid is. And he's going to piss in the cup. And then I'm going to send that off to them.
You know what? WADA would love this. They'd love to.
Honestly, what the fuck is that? He failed the drug test because of it. Then he resent it. Right. So then he passed it eventually because obviously he is actually fucking natty. They sent it because they then checked for exogenous testosterone that's been put in. So they sent the test. He said to them, just retest it. It cost him 375 fucking quid.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Fuck the place then. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You know, fuck that. Yeah. Like, no, it doesn't matter to me. Like, any competitive bodybuilding to me is interesting, it's cool, it's inspiring. But I think, like, I've always been, fucking hell, my favourite bodybuilder is Marcus Raw, for God's sake. Like, you know, my heart is where it is. So,
yeah.
My main thing to take from that is if BNBF can do that and ask for that, that kind of fucks up the efficacy of things. And the thing is, when he passed the test, because they checked for exogenous testosterone and they were like, oh yeah, there is definitely nothing in here, there's absolutely fuck all, then I'm like, right, yeah, cool, because he is natty. Yeah. But it just seemed a bit like, fuck me, like, you have to pay for them to go and do it rather than them just doing it off the bat.
Yeah, you just fuck it off, wouldn't you? I would. If I next year went to a qualifier, like won my class at a qualifier in BNBF, and then I failed the drug test, I'd be like, oh, fuck this.
Shit in the first sample.
I can't be asked to pay through
shit in the next sample.
Not be asked. All love to all my natties out there, but we are definitely not the natty anti-natty club.
You're natty, but you love normal bodybuilding.
Look, right, this is how I'm converting Jermaine, because the UK DFBA was on the same day as the PCA. I was like, look, man, do you want to go and watch a real bodybuilding show?
Look, I don't want to see people who are going to live past 60, all right? I want to see people who aren't, okay? I want to see people who are jabbing a gram a tren and they're getting third place because the guy in front was jabbing 1.2 gram, all right? I want to fucking see that.
It's a fucking running joke at the minute with Arthur Bill, who is most definitely not natty.
Yeah, he's been natural for a while.
He sent me a message, like I think it was this morning. He was like, "What's up, mate? I'm just taking a shit, and I just had this thought. I saw you yesterday. You look kind of big, but you look better on tren." And thanks for letting me know, mate. Thanks for that. So maybe one day, I'll be a gang, but right now I'm going to stay natty for at least a season.
Brilliant. Right, and on that absolute bombshell,
Yeah.
thanks for listening to episode 58 of the OTS podcast.
Wait,
And
58?
58, man, yeah.
Fuck off. No, it is.
Yeah, 58.
Man, we're on our way to 100. Maybe we'll do like something special for 100.
Yeah, maybe actually release the clothing that's supposed to be coming for a year. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get there. And we'll do like at that point, we'll be popular enough to do like a seminar at an expo.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You do an in-person podcast, just get a bunch of people.
God. Yeah, we'll do it in Malvern and like 4 people turn up. Malvern bingo hall. Brilliant.
Brilliant, mate. Brilliant.
All right, guys.
Well, guys, take care.
Thank you, Tom, for coming on. And
no worries, guys. Thank you very much.
We'll see you guys next time with another guest. Who knows who?